The small town of Villisca in the state of Iowa is on the verge of becoming a ghost town. Half of the houses stand empty, and the population has halved in a century. The only local attraction, albeit a macabre one, is the house at 508 East 2nd Street. This small estate in the style of rural Gothic offers tourists a unique experience. For $400, anyone can spend a night at the site of a mass murder. In 1912, 8 people died here, 2 adults and 6 children. All of them were killed with an axe, and none of them, except for one girl, ever woke up. The killer didn't take any valuables, and the crime remains unsolved to this day. But if it's who they suspect, it's even crazier than just an attack by an unknown psychopath. On June 9, 1912, the Moore family, businessman Josiah, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children attended the Presbyterian church. The town of Villisca was celebrating Children's Day, and for the Moores, it was an important day. Sarah, passionate about philanthropy, organized a kind of mini-festival with treats, performances, and dances. Everything was pastoral and innocent. Children danced on stage, performing scenes from the Holy Scriptures, and as the highlight of the program, Anglican pastor George Kelly spoke before the townspeople. A rather extraordinary gentleman, he arrived from Britain and traveled through rural America in search of divine revelation. In those days, wandering pastors were not such a rare sight. After his sermon, Kelly concluded, and everyone gradually dispersed to their homes. Along with the Moore family, 2 more girls, friends of their 10-year-old daughter Catherine, went to 508 East 2nd Street. They wanted to stay overnight, and their parents allowed it. The family was known throughout the town. They were patrons and, despite their wealth, fairly pleasant people. The whole group returned home around 10 in the evening. The next day at 7 a.m., their neighbor Mary Peckham approached the Moore's house. She was used to them rising early. Mary knocked on the door, no one answered, and it was locked. She assumed the Moores had gotten up even earlier than usual and hurriedly left. Mary was a very caring and pleasant woman. Just in case, she fed their chickens and informed Josiah's brother, Ross, about the strangeness. Out of courtesy, he knocked on the door and, after waiting a bit, opened it with a spare key. According to Mary's preserved words, a scream soon came from inside. Ross was yelling, even screaming, when he ran out of the house. He was pale as death and immediately ordered Mrs. Peckham to call local Sheriff Henry Horton. The town didn't even have a police force as such, so quiet and sleepy it was until that moment. Horton was chosen as the authority figure because he was a serious, tough man who had seen a lot. But he also felt unwell in the Moore house. The investigators from Red Oak who had arrived also had a hard time. Inside, there were 8 bodies: Josiah, Sarah, their 4 children, and 2 friends of their daughter. All of them were killed with blows to the head with an axe. The axe, by the way, was standing in the living room, neatly leaned against the wall as if a working tool waiting for new tasks. Everyone was killed right in their beds, in a way that they didn't wake up. They lay with shattered skulls without any signs of struggle or commotion. Only 12-year-old Lena, one of the friends, lay across her bed, and her hand was injured as if she tried to defend herself. The heads of all, except for Josiah, were smashed with the blunt side. His face was struck with the axe blade. The unknown assailant first killed everyone and then went through the house again, striking the heads of the deceased repeatedly. This applies only to the Moore family. The daughter's friends received only 1 blow each. Josiah's head, in particular, suffered extensively. Little was left of it, and the killer struck it for a long time and with frenzy. Amazingly, no evidence was found, except for 2 fresh cigarette butts in the attic. Apparently, the criminal waited there for the family to fall asleep before coming down, spending time with cigarettes. But the investigators were most intrigued by another detail. For some reason, Josiah's shoe, full of his blood, which the killer overturned accidentally. The door was locked from the inside. No footprints were found under the windows. It was as if the killer never left. The investigation determined that the crime occurred between midnight and 5 a.m. In this gruesome murder, Kelly is still suspected, but the court acquitted him. It's not surprising that the house was a popular pilgrimage site for self-proclaimed mediums in its time. Dozens of various programs dedicated to the paranormal spent the night here, trying to capture ghosts or solve this case. Naturally, without any results.